Today we'll be talking about subjective refraction. The instrument that we'll be using is the phoropter for the subjective refraction. First thing that you would need, and there's different things that you can use for the subjective refraction, but today we'll be using a refraction slip. From the refraction slip, the first thing you want to do is you want to use the leveling knob to make sure that the phoropter is straight in front of the patient's eye, and then you would use the PD knob to adjust the interpupillary distance of the patient, so to make sure that the phoropter is right on the center of the patient's eye. Then with the auxiliary knob, you'd use the auxiliary knob. You'd be using the open and the OC, which is the occlude position, to occlude one eye and keep one eye open. So the first thing you want to do is you want to occlude your left eye first, and start with your right eye. Always start with your right eye. So the first thing that you're going to do is your gross spheres. So by moving 2 clicks in the plus direction, you're going to ask your patient if it's better, worse, or the same. You want to hear them say worse. Then if they do say worse, then you would go back to your original starting point. If the patient says it's the same, then you would move towards the minus direction twice. Click, click, and you never want to over minus the patient. Then you would move over to your refining your access and your power. So you're gonna use your cylinder access and your cylinder power. So you would use the Jackson cross cylinder. So you would put the Jackson cross cylinder in the straddling position. Then you would ask the patient to read 2 lines above their best acuity. So if their acuity was 20/30, you would read at 20/40 or 20/40, 20/50. So you ask them which position or which view is better, view 1 or view 2. While you're asking them, you always want to move, or you always want to follow the red dot. So by following the red dot, whether it be clockwise or counterclockwise, you want to move in 15-degree increments. So if the smaller the amount of the smaller the amount of the cylinder power, the larger the adjustment. If it's larger, then if the cylinder power is larger, then you make smaller adjustments. So you probably move by 5 or 10 degrees. So when you're doing the cylinder power, the cross cylinder unit should be parallel to the correcting cylinder axis. If the dot is red, if the dot below the P is red, then you would add minus 0.25. If the dot below the P is white, then you would add plus 0.25 to that until it is the same. So after you've done the power, then you would move over to your binocular balance. For binocular balance, you always want to make sure that the acuities are the same. So both eyes have to be 20/20 on both eyes for you to do a binocular balance. So 20/20 and 20/20, or 20/30 and 20/30. So once you know that both of them are balanced, you want to make sure that you both eyes are balanced, and they both have to be blurred or fogged. So the accommodation between both eyes have to be the same. So to fog them, you would be adding plus 0.75 diopters, and you have to verify that the image is blurry. And after you verify that the image is blurry, if they don't say that it is blurry, then you would continue to add 0.25 to the binocular balance. After you've seen that it is blurry, then you would have your fine spheres. So with the fine spheres, you would add minus 0.25 diopters binocularly to the sphere powers until the letters of the chart of the 20/20 are barely visible. And that is our subjective refraction.